Because Google was saying that, but Google was lying, I love manipulating search volume is something that I love to do.
How hard is CTR manipulation in 2026?
CTR manipulation is not in the 20% that will give you 80% of benefits. The problem with CTR manipulation overall is scalability. So typically if you use bots, you do algorithm to get them manipulate doing the stuff and everything. If you do that, you will leave some footprints. And the way I will do it is most probably micro workers, cheap micro workers from Asia, going into proxy, residential proxy of any IP or like a provider. Generally, if you send at least let's say 1,000 people in 1 hour, you will have some effect after few hours. Every geo, it's easy to buy, easy to target, easy to manipulate, so it's really scalable. It's something that works in theory and everything, but the thing is that you need so much resources to do good CTR manipulation that generally the perfect scenario, you will not apply it. If you viral boost on Bing, it will get the index totally, not the index, but push back 30 position. If you viral boost for Google, you get better rankings, increase of 10 positions, stuff like that. There is no penalty anymore, almost no penalty. Nobody get penalty anymore, almost, few of them get. And the people that get it, they know why they get it. If you're spamming and 6 months is a good time left for you already, that's good, go for it. Right now, it is really about H domains.
Breaking news.
Odys is selling 86% of their inventory to over 40,000 verified buyers, and most of it are instant sales. Are you sitting on a premium H domain? Sign up for Odys Marketplace right now and wait for your check. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Odys Podcast. I'm very excited for today's interview. We're in Chiang Mai SEO, and my guest is Leo Poitevin, owner of Abstract Agency that helps to rank high. And our topic is really special, CTR manipulation. So let's dive right into it. Leo, can you first share with us, why did you get fired from Finixio?
Yeah, that's a funny story. So I worked at Finixio for 2.5 months, and during my probation period, I got fired. What happened is that, so there is different stories in the story, What I like to say is that because I was too much aggressive and stuff like that. Reality is most probably because I was, doing bad stuff. So typically for content, I forget some secondary keywords in my content. I forgot my meta description type of stuff like that I personally think were not important. But I think overall, we were not super aligned on the strategy SEO that we want to pursue, in the scope that they given me. Yeah. So after a few chats and everything, they decided to, let me on and to cut me and everything. So I was like, okay, anyway. But after that, I, find my own way and build my entrepreneurship journey, which I'm very happy about now. So it was a great decision, I thank them for them because now I'm in a way better position, and I would have not have the opportunity to build the agency that I'm building now without them kick me out,
Everybody says you're the best person to talk about CTR manipulation. So nobody better. How hard is CTR manipulation in 2026?
It is hard. I think it's, I think it is less hard than it used to be. So typically, manipulating CTR in a clean way back in the past, it was super complex because you don't have resources and anything, I think nowadays it's easier. But the thing is that on the other side, the algorithm get a bit stricter as well. The filter for manipulation and everything, it gets a bit higher and everything. So just getting some bots and stuff like that, nowadays it doesn't really work anymore. So you have to get real humans, you have to get the good IPs, you have to get the good. So there is so much stuff on the checklist to check, to get the perfect CTR manipulation. That's kind of hard. And second thing as well is that CTR by itself, it's not really the only thing, you need good user signals, you need a lot of interaction on the website, etc. So that's really, Google is going harder on overall user metrics, including CTR manipulation. But if you just do CTR with bots and cheap stuff, it will not be enough. It will not work for sure. And it will be filtered by Google.
So in what ways is it easier?
The way that we have more resources to do it. So for example, even if bot traffic is not good, we have way more bot than we used to have. We have phone farms and stuff like that. We have hundreds of possibilities. You have websites Amazon Mechanical Turk, like microrocus.com and everything. All of that you would not have back in the past in like 2005 or something like that. So we have more and more resources, and because the topic is getting more attention as well, there is more tool being built, more stuff that you can test, etc. So there is, I will say, more offer to help you to manipulate CTR, but it's harder as well because the algorithm is more strict about that.
So is it actually worth it? What are the dangers?
Is it actually worth it? I think it's like, so, you know, the 80-20 rules, you know, you do like 20% of the stuff that get you 80% of the benefits.
Yeah.
CTR manipulation is not in the 20% that will give you 80% of benefits, you know.
Okay.
CTR manipulation, you add it when you have like already worked your content like crazy, when you have like good backlink profile, when you already did a lot of good stuff, you know, you already worked on your user signals, on your UX and everything. And at the end of all that, you still don't rank. You can manipulate this. Yeah, then, you know, you start to go into more black hat tricks and everything. But to be honest, for 90% of businesses, you don't really need to do that. It's not like a good way of seeing SEO on a long-term basis and everything. Better to like produce good content and buy good backlinks and everything. It will be enough normally. But in some special industries, sometimes, you know, the 80-20 is not a real rule. You need to do like 99% to get what you want, you know. So typically iGaming type of stuff, everybody already built a lot of backlinks, a lot of content, so you need to go further, you know, about that.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't it depend on the vertical?
Exactly.
Right? Like the iGaming, like everybody perfected all the other, checked all the requirements.
Exactly. That's the end of the checklist, you know. So you're beginning by the beginning, by doing content, building backlinks, doing clean stuff and everything. And when you have done all the white hat stuff, you just have the gray hat and the black hat stuff that you have to try, you know, because you're still not ranking at the end. That's the main problem generally. So you have to go deeper and to go into CTR, viral boost type of stuff that are like new trendy, needed when you have like a website in a special industry that is not enough. Yeah, for sure.
And there's a lot of negative SEO, right?
Yeah, as well. Yeah. But back in, so I kind of not really left iGaming, but I slowed down on iGaming, I will say 1.5 years ago. Now the agency is treating a lot of different type of clients, iGaming comprise, but not only iGaming. So I don't see so much negative SEO right now on my clients and everything, but I know some of my friends, they speak me still about iGaming stuff. And right now a lot of negative SEO, happily not so much about like on-site signals and everything. It's not like something that's really built in an algorithm that you can play negative with it. It's mostly DMCA, you know, people tricking the law, saying like, yeah, I am the owner of the rights of that, saying that to Google the indexing really quickly because you want to act quickly, you know, typically if you go on streaming websites and fake download and everything, you need to act quickly. So sometimes you need to act a little bit too quickly. And at the index, well, the reason was not a good one. So yeah, people are massively doing that is bad. Don't do that, please. But it's something that works as well.
But they also use CTR manipulation for negative SEO against their competitors, right?
So you can do that, but the hard part is like, generally what it is, you do like bounce rate manipulation. So CTR manipulation followed by bounce rate. So the guy go on the first page, come back, and after go on a second page, which is the good one, for example, and we'll spend some time on it. It's like something that works in theory and everything. But the thing is that you need so much resources to do good CTR manipulation that generally the perfect scenario, you will not apply it, you know, you will just apply a more basic at a better scale, because the problem with CTR manipulation overall is scalability. So as soon as we'll dig into that deep later, I think, but like as soon as you start to stack like micro workers with IP, with like ton of different actions, you know that some stuff will miss out, you know, like you must probably asking an Indian guy to go and connect to a proxy in France for 10 cents, you know, and to click on the first one, to come back on the sub, to click on the second one. The problem is that if the Indian is like missing one action, for example, he's not coming back and coming in the second sites, for example, and it's just like spending time on the first sites, on your competitors' sites, it will give the good signals to the competitors' sites. So generally what I try to do is like, I try to avoid too much instruction that could play against me, you know, I just play one straight line for me and that's all. Because if the guy just come on the first website and doesn't go back, you're just getting fucked, you know? It's like you play for your competitors.
Exactly,
so,
you just paid for your competitors.
That's why I don't
You can boost them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I don't do negative SEO with CTR manipulation and like signals that could be bad and good.
Yeah.
Because if the good takes over, and generally you don't really know if you're really doing negative stuff on that. It's really hard to track. So yeah, but there is still some stuff that you can do negative SEO about that. Like for example, I will give you stuff that I heard or I saw, but I'm not like 100% sure it will come back and the algorithm didn't change since. But for example, one guy told me if you viral boost on Bing, it will get the index totally, not the index, but push back 30 position. If you viral boost for Google, you get better rankings, increase of 10 positions, stuff like that. So different algorithm, different search engine, different browser, all different roles at the end. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So what are the dangers associated with using CTR manipulation for yourself?
Yeah. Generally, I will say right now, Google is super, super, super chill on the penalty and danger and everything. So if you CTR manipulation, for example, so that's exactly as you said, because you can use it for negative SEO, but because it could trigger some negative SEO type of stuff. Generally, Google will just be like, oh, it works, or it doesn't, but it will not be like it will decrease your rankings and everything.
Okay.
So I think that there is no big dangers about stuff, or it will move up, or it will not move. Sometimes it does a bit weird stuff, when you do this type of manipulation. So I will give you some example. Imagine top 10, you're number 8. You're number 8 since like 6 months. The top 10 never moves in 6 months. You get used to that and everything. You start to do like black hat weird tricks, Yeah. So for example, CTR manipulation or viral boost in this URL. And perhaps the URL will go like 4, 6, 12, 8. And like in few days, So if you didn't move since few days, since several months, and you get all this movement in few days, you get crazy about that. You're like, oh, what did I do? And as soon as you see 12 or 15, you're like, oh no, crazy. I did something bad. But after you come back to 8 or to 2 or to 5, and it's like just a lot of volatility, You increase volatility, but the overall outcome is better than the initial situation.
Then sitting in one
Exactly.
place. Okay.
Exactly.
So it will continue moving.
Generally, as soon as more you push, more you do crazy stuff, more it continue moving.
Okay.
But it continue moving towards the hyper position. Yeah. So it's good, I guess. Yeah.
So sometimes people say that once you start CTR manipulation, you shouldn't stop because you will drop.
Yeah.
Is that true?
So for me, CTR manipulation, especially in the last 2 years. So really, what I will tell you, come in the situation in the era of like post HCU, end of 2023, they were like the helpful content update that was really impactful for a lot of people. And what I understand from this update is that all the branding signals and the user signals have been dramatically increased for Google at this moment. So all the stuff about CTR, for example, have been kind of increased, and all the interaction upside, time spent on page, etc., have been like really increased, after that. So the calculation, according to Google Leaks of 2024, the calculation of all these user signals come on a basis of like 13 months, I think it is. So they keep all the data, all the clicks, all the stuff about 13 months. And according to the 13 months, they do a calculation, an average that will tell you if your current user signal is good or not. So what will happen is that you do CTR manipulation. It's like 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, 2 months. On the average stuff, you didn't move the needle so much. So even after 2 months, generally, you don't get like crazy results and everything. After 6 months, you start to have like good results and everything. And like, oh, I'm happy, and everything. You forget that you were doing CTR manipulation. This was 6 months ago. You don't care anymore. It's like you get it. And after you will keep shining for, several months because that's like an average calculation that is going on. And so after a while, you will decrease. Because your user signals are bad again, So because it's an average calculation on a long time period, it's not really something that you put on and off like that. Generally something that you start to build on it, to work on it and everything. Because if you just, put it on, you will not get results like super, super quickly generally. If you put it off, you will like not get a decrease in ranking really immediately. But it's a factor that will accumulate on a period of time for sure,
I see. So for CTR manipulation, you can use either real humans or bots. Can you tell us in which cases should you use bots, in which it's better to rely on humans?
So the first thing is that the best case scenario, let's start with the best case scenario. You're working in NGO. on a place where we have some people that can do CTR manipulation for you. So typically if you're US, India, Pakistan, and some other Vietnam as well, for example. If you go on a website like microworkers.com, you have some people that are ready to do action against money. So you'll pay them, for example, if you're in Asia, a few cents for the action. And if you are in US, perhaps like $1 or $2 for the action of clicking, searching, etc. So what is happening is that in this situation, you have some people that can do it. You have real people that can do it. So go for real people. Ask them to use the Chrome browser. So like that, you have the history of the browser, you have the Google account connected and everything, you know. So you're maximizing the good signals and the natural effect. If you're not in a situation like that, which is like most of the people are not working in the US, Pakistan, and India, or in Vietnam mostly, you know. If you're in France, Italy, if you have Netherlands and everything, you don't have micro workers. Yeah, there is not a lot of enough people, etc. So in this situation, I don't really like bots personally because I used to be an IT guy, you know, I used to be in computing and everything, in computing science. So I was coding and everything. And I know that when you do algorithm, so typically if you use bots, you do algorithm to get them manipulate doing the stuff and everything. If you do that, you will leave some footprints, you know, you will leave some footprints in the technology that you are using, the user agent, the behavior, and anything, you know, you will leave some footprints for sure. You will perhaps not have Google accounts connected, perhaps not a clean history, perhaps your IP will not be clean anyway. I can't tell you which one you will leave, but you will leave them. So I think that in the long term, bot manipulation is not really good. However, we still some good effects sometimes, you know. If you have like none so much competitive queries and you do bot manipulation, you will get like slight increase overall and everything. And most of the CTR tool online right now, they are using bot manipulation. And we still see increasing rankings overall. So it's okay. And then you have like the in-between solution. So you don't want to use bots. You can't use humans because you don't have the clean ones. And you try to find an in-between, you know? And that's where I played most of my life, the in-between, which is like not really scalable, sadly, cleaner than the bots, happily. So what happened, for example, is that you will play with students in the cities, you will play with proxy and IPs to get, like, for example, Indian going to French IP. You will play with a lot of different stuff like that to get the signal that will not be the worst, not the best, but the best that you can get, you know.
Okay, I see. And how about the cost?
The cost, the cost is really, most of the time, it's super expensive. As soon as you go for humans, it's super expensive. So that's mainly why people go for bots. But I think that bots will be detected and will not get the effect. So again, recently, for example, I get a friend that did some AI agent CTR manipulation. So he was doing AI agent to go to do some search and everything. He used to have good results. But the thing is that as soon as I tested it on, it was like super small queries. As soon as I tested it on bigger queries, bigger markets, etc., it was not working that well anymore. So that was the cheap one. The most expensive one, for example, if you go for US, it will be like, I think it's $1.5 right now, approximately, per people searching clicking, visiting 2 pages and leaving. So it's like 2 minutes, $2. It's expensive. The US are expensive, you know? And if you find the in-between, so for example, one strategy that I like is that you ask somebody, you know, some students, for example, to do manipulation on a lot of different IPs and everything. And it will cost you like, a few dozen of bucks or $50 or $100, something like that, to get one push. So it really depends on the method that you're using, but generally you will count like, let's say 50 cents per click, you know, approximately 50 cents per manipulation, per people, per users. So if you go for 1,000, it's $500. So yeah.
And when it comes to the risk associated with each tactic, are bots simply more risky because they leave a trace, or are there any other risks associated with each?
Yeah. So what I think is happening is that because Google is, so what happens is like, if there is a big risk and we can trigger penalty with that, then we can play negative SEO game. You know, that's always the thing, like every coin have 2 faces, you know? So, I think there's not much risk, to be honest. And that even if you leave footprints, Google will not be like, I will penalize this website. It will just be like, oh, that's our bot signals, you know? I don't take in an account, just nullified it, you know, just doesn't count.
So you just kind of wasted your time and a little
money.
bit of money.
Yeah.
on that.
Which is
Okay.
valuable, by the way.
Yes. That is something, but at least you're not getting penalty.
Yeah, exactly. That's okay for the asset. The website is safe. Normally.
Yeah.
It's like that. Yeah, I chatted with Charles like yesterday, and we're telling like there is no penalty anymore. Almost no penalty. Nobody get penalty anymore. Almost. Few of them get. And the people that get it, they know why they get it. You don't get it like randomly anymore.
Yeah.
You get it for a reason that you really know, because you're abusing on like 10 different levels. So it's okay.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, no, the penalty situation is like, yeah.
Improved.
For me, it's perfect because you can be like a bit harder on the algo without like, reaching a limit or anything.
Yeah.
But I think to be honest, I think it's kind of always be this case, and people are claiming like, oh, penalty. I get few penalties in my life myself, because you need to go through the algo, to the end of the algo to see where is the limit,
Yes.
But right now there is not much penalty going.
Yeah.
You will not get penalty for buying backlinks and stuff like that,
Yeah,
except if you do it in a really dirty way, which I'll advise not do, obviously.
Yeah. You know why you got it.
Exactly. Generally, it's like you buy the classic, you buy an H domain restaurant, H domain, stuff like that. You put like 100,000 backlinks on it, and you put like spam content about like gambling. Obviously, you will get a penalty about that, like it's like you're infringing 100 different guidelines of Google at the same time. Yeah, obviously you get a penalty about that. And if you pay like mostly clean, normally you don't.
Yeah. Or if you space them in time, all right?
Yeah.
Not all at once.
Yeah. At some point you will get it, and you will know which one of the action did get you the penalty. But yeah. Yeah. Well, advice is like, right now it's like, or you play clean or you play dirty. If you play clean or like at least 80-90% clean, do it cleanly and try to be like, not leave too much footprints and be like clean away. If you're playing the dirty game, you don't care. It's like, banking, and after just leaving the domain, burning out and everything. It's spam. It's okay. It makes money, but if you want to do a clean stuff, normally you're quite safe.
Okay. So I know you have a number of very nice CTR manipulation tactics. Can you share some with us?
Yeah, for sure. I will start with the local one because I like the local one.
Yeah.
The local one. So that's a guy that is managing a web agency in Lausanne in Switzerland that gave me this local one techniques. Thanks for him, by the way. And the funny thing is that he gave me these techniques, and I was like, okay, sounds good, that's a good techniques. It was like 14 on the rankings the day he gave me, and was like, I just managed the techniques, and I will try it like tomorrow, And I checked the ranking 2 days after, and it was first, and still is first nowadays,
Really?
So I was like, okay, you're the guy, you tested it and you get the results, and that's good. So what he did is like he pays students like 50 euros to go in every shop that sell phone, that have phone on displays. So for example, you go to the Apple Store, open Google Chrome on the iPhone, just search for the keyword, scroll a little bit, get your results, click on it. You do like few interactions, the website always do few interactions as soon as the manipulation, because helps to like kind of, not really qualified visits and everything, but it's with few actions. So like that, you get like a good visits, good interacting visits, and the goal will be like, if you pay few, signal spinnings of the phone, that's good. You leave the website in front, so like that the person comes to the Apple Store and wants to check the headphone and will go on your website and like, okay, why not, And you do that like for the whole day, for example. So as in a day, you can manage like perhaps like 50, 100, 150 phones, something like that. If you're responsibly 150 clicks in one day, crazy, crazy. Yeah. So that's something that's working well on the super local level. And there is problems with that on the studio IPs and everything. The thing is that because all the phones are differential going in vendors, you will not get so much of a board signal of prints and everything. Try to go for Android, try to go for Chrome browser every time that you're trying to manipulate, go showing what I am using your device. I will be able to help that. And the last tip will be on Google Chrome, you can update the settings for the phone to open every time on your website. Instead of opening a new tab, you open this website instead. So like that, every time people open Chrome, boom, your website popping. So it's like it continues to have like signals. Random people will go to see the phone. Exactly.
What business is it good for? Like very local ones.
Exactly. That's really perfect for the local ones. So this guy was in Lausanne, he wants to rank for Lausanne keywords, for this keywords, and that's, for him, that was perfect. You can manipulate Google Suggest with that really easily as well. So Google Suggest is like when you start to type keywords, you get for example, I don't know, web actions Lausanne, you will have web actions Lausanne, WordPress or web actions Lausanne, like more than quick keywords appearing, Suggest by Google. So what I meant is that if you manage to use the same with like different searches and still click on the website and see people manipulate, overall, Google Suggest as well with the local signals like that. So when he told me about the story of the stuff, I asked that to Google and was like, I saw the Google Suggest coming with his name and I was like, oh, good, yeah. Oh, wow. I was like, I did the fun stuff, and I was like, the student tricks, like, it works well now. So the thing with Google Suggest, it doesn't last forever. Generally, it just gets shut down at some point when people see that you're manipulating. But you still have some room there.
How long does it last?
Google Suggest random. So sometimes I see one for 1 day, sometimes I see one for like a few months. Back in time, like 2023, I could manipulate that with like lots of traffic sending to the Google Suggest, and it lasts for a few months.
Okay.
But just the big algorithm, you don't get like a normal trend, or you don't get like the good level of clicks, and the volume are too much or too low, and I think it's just like gets low. So they're really be careful with the manipulation. A lot of threshold now, which makes it complex to manipulate.
So how about manipulating signals on more national level?
International level, So generally what I do at national level, my best strategy. So first of all, if you're in the tier 1 stuff that you can have micro support, you go for that. That's the best one for sure. It's scalable, it's easy. It's like built in the platform and everything. That's the platform I think kids. The second one will be a strategy that I developed with some French friends, which is called Home Up Pirates, which is the best like NSO guy in France. But he doesn't really like speak English, so we chat with him like really in Japan as well, chat on a daily basis and everything. And he gave me the same, so I think we'll have the same mix. The technique was like you go on Upwork, and so you start, you create a job post, for example, and the job post will be I search a content specialist on my website. Now, to find my website, you just have to Google, for example, best online site. And you will click on the third one, which is fine. The brand start with ABC, for example, and I want you to add the content and to meet me in a relation panel. So you'll post that, and after that, freelance, so that on the job, they will come, they will search the keyword, they will click on the website, they will do some audits and everything, and they will send you details. So you don't really need to hire anybody, because you just want the people searching, clicking on their websites. But what will happen is that, so few things to be careful about. First, Upwork at some point will ban your account, so be careful, spend some money, hire somebody, please, play on the boss games, play actually for the long-term game. Secondly is that, if you're, for example, in stuff in Spanish, and you put your job in Spanish, you will have a lot of people from Latin America going around and everything. So on Upwork, for example, you can invite some people to your job post. So you can invite a lot of people from Spain directly, and like that, you can generate around 30 to 40 clicks per day on the national level. Again, that's only 40 clicks a day. So the main problem is scalability, and I didn't find any good solution for that. So that's why I'm trying now to go for national stuff with like residential IP and live workers. And I will try to find an in between, But that's the strategy that's working well. One really good thing about the strategy is that the Google leaks of all of the 24, Google say that the clicks from the experts are the best friend, overall. So typically if you're getting CTR from random people and CTR from experts, it's not the same CTR tag. Now Google will double, triple, 10 times the value of clicks to an expert, and an expert staying on the website longer than it is from a random guy.
And how do they estimate who's an expert?
Same search. So Google have 3 and I was 7. For example, if you do the content audits and you direct it to anybody, it works a little bit, but not as much as if you, especially for your industry experts audit my content, if you're legal, manage some lawyer, find some lawyer, tell them I have a lawyer problem with my website, you need to go ahead, that's a legal website, etc. So like that you have extra clicks running on it. It's just like super valuable. Wow. We saw that a lot in there's quite trend with iGaming, for example. So there's a lot of streamer streaming gambling.
Yes.
So all of the people all following audience, they are always going gambling websites and they are like gambling experts. Someone who gambling fans.
Yes.
And gambling addicts, which is quite bad, but
Yeah.
So when a streamer, for example, push the audience of people go up his website, you will see a huge increase in the rankings. So right now, I think one strategy that's not really been developed yet is like having a streamer and the SEO associating for one website. The streamer pushing content, pushing traffic to the website doing classic SEO with a lot of good backlinks, good stuff and everything.
Yeah.
As well, possibly working CTR Manipulation. If you're like streamer speaking to the audience, you can control them a bit, you can ask them to do stuff and they can do stuff sometimes. So it's like kind of stuff, a relationship, a combo that would be great right now. But nobody managed to it yet. I think it's like a bit tricky because of streamer ego and SEO that don't they're already also. So it's like a combination that I've been bring to life yet. The first people that will be able to bring it to life will be like that. That will be great.
So it's like a synergy of different channels.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is that you need a long term for SEO to like good branding signals.
Yeah.
To have good time spent on page, to have different acquisition channels. Like SEO back in time, jobs doing up to 2023. Each year date again, it's like the turning point in SEO. It was okay to do only SEO. You can do content, and that's good enough. It will pick you up, and you can have like 99% of your acquisition going for SEO. It was okay. Until recently, now it's not anymore. If you have like 99% of your acquisition on SEO, you would decrease because some people they would do a bit of different acquisition channel and people love that. Doesn't want to audit the content because there's money to audit the backlinks because manipulating, and everything. So he knows that if somebody is spending a lot of money on ads and branding, they have good signals, they have good people, a lot of people coming to websites and channels, it's a sales guy, and the all what he wants is like to get away from spammer to bring sales guy. That's also why, by the way, the whole age domain is hybrid works super well because it's like clean signals, that's a restaurant website, it's not the gambling, manipulating stuff. So that's why when we push that and we shift, we'll like just take off and be like, oh, that's a clean website and put them down. And after no, it's not too much I got mentioned, so that's exactly what's happening right now of the user signals.
So can you actually scale CTR manipulation effectively? Because it seems like it's really hard, right?
It's really hard. It's really, really hard. And I will try to do some stuff in the next weeks. So that will be my next test. To be honest, because right now I'm managing my agency, chatting with my clients and everything. This ask come from a client that is doing that with another agency and it's working well. So he told me, we're doing that. It costs us this amount of money. If you can do the same stuff for cheaper, I would go with you. So I'm like, that's a contract for me, I will go for it. So I will try to do it. The goal will be to have real human going through IPs, residential IP, and then to do CTR manipulation or at least visit with interaction. So my clients is not even really much interested into the CTR stuff. The interesting stuff for him is the visit with interaction. So for example, people will go on the URL, click one link, visit 3 pages, scroll 2 times, type of stuff like that, And he wants this type of interaction on the website. I think I will do CTR as well in the meantime because, why not max out all the signals, So, yeah. So, and the way I will do it is most probably cheap micro workers from Asia, going into, proxy, residential proxy of any IP or a provider, and then asking them a bunch of stuff. I think it will be complex because of the number of instructions that I have to give them. And I know that can be lost in translation, but, that's the test of next week,
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm curious about the results.
yeah. Some new research and development going on. So that will be a good way of scaling that because when the clients told me the volume that he needs, which were several thousand per month, and everything, I was like, it will be complex. With my current infrastructure and current stuff that I can do, I cannot really do that. Okay. So I need to do some new research and development about that, yeah.
Oh, very interesting. So how about AI? Does it play a role in CTR manipulation? Can you use it to maybe scale some things, or is it used at all?
So yeah, so one of my friends used like, for example, AI agent to try to do CTR manipulation, which is like working well for him. And his use case were like proving, it was like ranking a new domain in like 5 hours, something like that.
Oh, wow.
On keywords that were not really, big keywords and everything. And the domain were EMD, where there is no EMD on the SERP and everything. So it was like, it gave a signal for sure, but not signal strong enough for my SERP and my clients and my results to get that increase in rankings. So I think it was okay for him, not okay enough for me. On the other side, the good thing is that when you're doing CTR manipulation, if you get increase in rankings in Google, because ChatGPT right now is using Google results for the retrieval augmented generation, RAG. So typically when you go to ChatGPT, you do a search, sometimes it go on the web. When it's going on the web, just asking Google like 10, 15 results, and after just checking the results. So because you're manipulating on Google, get better rankings on Google. When ChatGPT asks, you get better rankings in ChatGPT as well. So that's like the good point of it.
I know you can manipulate quite a few things. And what about the search volume? How can you manipulate the search volume? And what are the real benefits of doing it? Like, why would you do it?
So I love manipulating search volume is something that I love to do because all the SEO that see it, because you manipulate in the keywords. For example, I will manipulate best SEO in the world, Aneta. And then everybody will be like, oh, but who is Aneta? What is this best SEO? Why thousands of people are searching best SEO in the world, Aneta, And so that's typically stuff that I love to do.
That's fun, yeah. I have to do it.
yeah. But to do it. I did it in France as well. Like, SEO consultant, Leo Poitevin, stuff like that. So people are like, what? So much people searching about him, What is? So the real benefits is that if you want to do free advertising against it to SEO see you is the best way of doing it, because everybody, there is one agency that like increases super high search volume in France. Everybody is speaking about them. Oh, do you know who they are? And it costs them, really not much money to get this much attention. So it's a good way of getting attention, I think, from SEO, to sell SEO stuff. So for example, if you want to sell backlinks, you can increase search volume on something like best backlinks for casino websites, ads, and put the name of your website. Yeah. And if you increase like, 10,000, everybody doing keyword research and typing like casino keyword research will have this stuff coming out. So that's, by the way, that's something that I came with like yesterday. I need to do it now for my link platform. So to start advertising, I didn't even did it yet, but yeah, I need to do it because that's not a bad idea for once.
Is it relatively easy to do?
It's quite easy to do, to be honest. It's just the main way of doing it is like you take some traffic. So you take the cheapest traffic that you can get, but traffic works well for that. You have to get some user signals like and footprints off, but that's okay. You take some traffic, you send them, all of them directly to Google on the keywords, like google.com/keywords, etc. And that's good enough, Oh,
wow.
And some people as well, for example, are backlink seller, they resell backlinks and stuff like that. If you have a brand, a website, a media that you need to sell backlinks and you need to, let's say, make stuff a bit more shiny, like put you in the good angle and everything. What will happen is that sometimes you need a bit of volume on the stuff. You don't get as much traffic as you ought for and everything. You're like, I will look in a better angle if I get like 10K traffic more. So if you push some traffic directly to some keywords that you're already ranking or your brand and everything, it can help us, but it can help about increasing a bit the traffic and showing it a better angle, let's say.
Nice. What about the viral traffic? Like, how can you use it to boost SEO?
Yeah, so it's funny. In France, we call that like generally direct traffic. In English speaking, people call that viral boost. The only goal is just to get a viral signal to Google, to show a viral signal to Google. What you do generally is that you will buy some traffic from an ad network to push directly to your URL. And so, for example, you would tell the ad network, okay, I want the cheapest traffic. I will pay $1 for 1,000 people, push that to this URL directly. And like, because you push So one thing to be careful about is that you have to get Chrome browser. It's really important to get only Chrome browser. If you get like a bunch of cheap browser or anything, it will not work.
Really?
Google is spying on the Chrome, So when you put Chrome browser, the spies see that it's getting viral, So it's really increasing in rankings. Secondly, be careful that it's not shown as advertising. It's like blank refer or you go through Twitter redirect to sort of like social organic traffic type of stuff like that. And then, you point it to your stuff, to your web page. What I do generally as well is that I geo-target the traffic to be for sure it will be like French, for me in France, for example, French IPs. If you go for Spain IPs, etc., which give better signals overall. And I will try to not get adult content and anything, adult like advertising, adult networks. But there's like a lot of different stuff in the checklist, but overall, the guideline is like send as much people as possible for the cheapest possible on Google Chrome on one URL and ranking exploding, You get like crazy results in a super short timeline, which is crazy as SEO because we tend to think SEO takes some time.
Yes.
Some strategies that don't. It's super fast. Let's enjoy them.
So what are the best ads network to buy a viral boost?
Yeah, generally you go for all the ad networks that have like pop under traffic. So personally, I use pop ads a lot in the past. I know pop cash is good as well. Roller ads as well is really good, which is sponsoring, by the way, the Chiang Mai SEO. So good networks to buy from.
Right.
And there is tons of other that are quite interesting. Most of them, they all buy traffic from different stuff and everything. So at the end, it's kind of the same. You just need to search for the, cheapest traffic that you can get. And none of them is made for SEO. So be careful. You will be like, that's weird. It doesn't look for SEO. It is not. It leads for media buyer that will need to send a lot of traffic to one URL. But as SEO, when we do that, it's up in ranking. So just act like media buyer that want to push one URL and it will work normally.
Okay. And how long does it take to have effect?
So that's the craziest part. Generally, if you send at least like, let's say 1,000 people in 1 hour, you will have some effect after like few hours, It will only take like 2-3 hours to get some effects of increasing rankings. So for example, I get some example last year. I was 12 on the keyword AI girlfriend for one of my clients. I push and it's like the day after we were number 2. So it's like one day plus 10 position, number 2 position, second position in rankings on a keyword that's making like, making a lot of money on these keywords, obviously.
Wow.
So it was crazy. It lasts generally like 2 or 3 days. And after 2 or 3 days, you get a decrease in rankings. Because like you get the viral boost for 1 or 2 days. You're viral. As soon as you're not viral anymore, you decrease in rankings. So one thing that you could tell me is that then make the URL viral again and again and again and every time, all day. So 2 things. My way of doing it is like, I get viral boost, then as soon as it's decreasing, I boost again, then I boost again, and I boost like every 3-4 days to not be pushing again and again and again too aggressively. Because what happens is that if you push too much aggressively and if viral boost traffic is like 90% of your traffic for example, 6 months, you will start to decrease and to drone, and it will really be like bad for your website because the user signals and the metrics that you're pushing with viral boost are shitty, just like 1 second type of visits and everything. It's just like the virality that Google is seeing it likes. But on long term, when you start to calculate, the user metrics on several months, be like, what the fuck is this website, So some of my friends, for example, they manage big websites and they have like big amount of traffic, overall big metrics, and they do small viral boost like Sniper, to some special pages at like a special occasion. It's okay. The situation is good for them. And just the page get a spike in traffic, good situation, and no bad user signals on the long term. But if you're typically gambling people, you're abusing the viral boost stuff, and because you're sending like 5K people and getting 5K people in casino is like a nightmare to get 5K real people on your website. So really quickly you go for 95% of your traffic is viral boost. And then you just start to drone after 6 months. But if you're spamming and 6 months is a good timeline for you already, that's good, go for it. If you're saying in the long-term game and 6 months is like, you don't want to do your website to die in 6 months, be careful with it.
So you have to weigh the benefits versus what are your needs and be either reasonable or prepared for the churn.
Exactly. Every time, in SEO, it's really important to understand that every time in SEO, you have like two way of doing it, You have the most spammy way, which will be super short term, can be like only one day of ranking. And on the other side, you have the super long term, the super white hat classic way. For 90% of the business, the white hat is the good way to do it, because the white hat is like you produce good content, you get good backlinks, you promote it, you get good user signals, and you play the long term and you're here for several years and everything. Yeah. And I understood that only recently, that's the good way of doing it because you are going for the long term and it's the way of doing it,
Yeah.
So for 90% of the business, I advise you to only go for produce content, the backlinks and everything, go for the long way, go for the clean way and everything. If you're in special industries and to bank quickly and you're not scared of your domain burning out, then you go for the short way. And that's the case for every strategy,
Yes. Can you scale the viral boost or?
Yeah, the viral boost is super easy to scale because you just need
Unlike CTR manipulation.
Unlike CTR manipulation, exactly. Because it's always real users because it's advertising. So for example, it's like you're going to a streaming website. You want to check your last website. You click on the red cross and you have like 10 pop-ups coming, That's this type of traffic that you're buying. So it's real people, it's real IPs, but the situation, the stuff that you get is like cheap to get, easy to get, and there's like millions of visits that you can buy. So obviously, if you're going a super small country, so for example, I did viral boost for Lithuania, I think it was, and we get some limits because the problem is like, that's a small country. There's like only 3 million people. We can't buy more than like, I don't know, something like 500K visits or something like that per month. It's hard to get like more than 1 million visits a month in a super small country like that. But for example, in the US, I don't know how much country I'm buying it, and it's more than 1 million a month for sure. But yeah, few million a month of visits, that we're buying. And it's easy because it's cheap. It's easy to deliver. You just have to put a URL, and they have traffic for all over the world. So even in France, few 100,000 as well per month. In US, several million. In UK, yeah, perhaps 1 million as well. So it's like every geo, it's easy to buy, easy to target, easy to manipulate. So it's like really scalable. The one thing is that recently it's been slightly patched. So it was working super well for 2 years. Recently, it's working a bit less. But yeah, we have to do some research and development to know which way to adapt and everything. But still working a little bit, yeah.
And how about using AI in a viral boost? Like, are there ways to take advantage of it?
To be honest, I think that Google is really picking up about that. AI on viral boost, you can use perhaps some AI to do like some predictive redirection for viral boost and everything. But most of the time we're using viral boost when AI was not even a big thing and everything. And I think we didn't see so much opportunities to apply AI on viral boost right now. So right now, not much to be honest. Just like users, spam, send to URL. It's okay. It's really basic as a process. Yeah.
Okay. So for 2026 Black Hats, what's the next evolution?
Yeah. If we know that, we're already being spanning a website with that and everything. No, I think that's the crazy stuff about like Black Hat stuff is that you can't predict what will happen. So typically 5 years ago, I couldn't predict that the next thing will be like, spinning H domains like it is right now. Right now, it is really about H domains being like proposed and everything. It's really that thing working with some super old tactics as well. So typically GSA blasts are really becoming back a thing, while it used to be like 2008 type of strategies.
Yeah.
The viral boost is typically the thing that's really been working well in the last few years. Yes, but mostly, to be honest, H domain viral boost as SEO. Right now, that's the big thing that are working well. What will be working in the future, I don't know. And I think, to be honest, right now, I'm more focused on like building clean long-term stuff and hope that Google smash all the spam because I'm playing the long-term game now. So I'm I love to watch the spam. I like to do it as well sometime on my free time, to add clients that are already 90%, achieving all the white hat stuff, get the 10% black hat stuff to get down and get banking, and some people as well, they want the short-term game. That's okay. I can help you in the short-term game. That would be my pleasure to help you, to give you all the advice that I have in the short-term game. But now I think that I will personally make more money to go for the long-term game with
Okay.
compound interest and stuff like that, more than the short spam stuff. Because
Sure.
on the short spam stuff, you need to adapt every time. So it's
Yeah.
exhausting, to be
It
always
is.
adapting and everything. And sometimes you are good in SEO for a while, and after changing the update, and it's hard to catch up and everything,
Yeah.
So I do all my studies as possible to know my karate and be able to adapt. But sometimes it's hard to predict, like, how you able to gamble your skills and your fortune and your money-making stuff to every Google updates or not. Personally, I don't like it so much. I prefer to play the clean and stable game. But for 2026, to be honest, for me, the few strategy, the one problem to crack, if somebody crack it, you will be the richest guy in iGaming for sure, is how to combine branding stuff with SEO contents, because branding stuff, so typically brand research, brand volume, brand interest, time spent on page, all the user metrics, all the UX, all the UI, all the type of stuff like that. They are the thing that is really missing in every, gambling sites right now. Nobody managed to find a good way to do it because you need to create some interest, some real interest about the stuff and people coming back to the website. So I think it will be super complex. I think, especially for the affiliate, it will be super complex. If they manage to crack this problem, the first one to crack it is the king. But the one that will have more place, I think, in the long term will be the casino operators themselves, because they can play on the branding, they can play on this type of stuff more easily, on time spent on the platform and everything. The main problem that they have right now is that they are all using shitty white label services that you can't really update the content, update the stuff, play with the website and everything. It's just like some shell. And after you need to do ticket to the Eastern Europe white label developers that will not do your ticket and everything. So on one side, you have affiliates that don't have brands and that can't play with it. They can't find a good way of doing it, and Google is fighting against them. But they are really flexible, really quick, really fast, and really efficient, and really the best in the world, the best SEO in the world, the best experts, On the other side, you have operators, casinos that have brands, that will have retention, that will all the good sales like Google likes, but they are really slow and not quick and not efficient in development and everything.
And
If somebody is listening that, by the way, and is an operator and is able to be fast and quick and everything, contact me, please, because I want, this type of stuff to work on, because it will be crazy. It will have compound effect. We'll have a crazy results for sure.
Wow.
But right now we're in the situation where there is all of that and there is a gap between. And if somebody managed to close this gap, that will be wonderful.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
So on the final note, actually, can you tell us what is the one tactic that you will never drop? And on the other hand, a tactic that you would warn someone who's just starting out to avoid at all costs?
One tactic that I will never drop, that I will never stop to do, and one tactic that to avoid at all costs.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that the tactic that I will never drop, it will be, I don't know. I'm hesitating between backlinks because I have big love for backlinks overall.
Okay.
I bought so much backlinks. I love that. It's really something that I like to do, Most of the people, they think it's a secondary job. And I was saying it's just it's not worth the time. It's takes some time. But me, I genuinely love it.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps doing backlinks is something that I will never stop. But else, the second one, which it's most probably conversion rate optimization. I think because it's data driven and it's good, and it's you can play on the time spent on page, you can play on so much stuff. And I did some campaign on conversion rate optimization on iGaming websites, for example, where you make more money without making more traffic and everything. And I find it wonderful.
Yeah.
So I think that's two techniques that I will never drop, because I think that they are really deeply interesting and built in this type of algorithm, and they will be always paying dividends on the long terms, growing in the long terms and getting good results in the long term. One that will advise not people to not do, I think it will be overdoing content, most of the time people, especially because of the US influence and the stuff Google was saying follow guidelines and be careful about the the content and everything like that, Google was really focused on content quality and telling people your content is not helpful. That's why you get decreasing rankings, and people have to get so focused on content and everything because Google was saying that, but Google was lying, kind of lying. So the problem with that is that people get focused too much on content, I think, which is super important as well, but over optimizing content while you could just play a bit more with backlinks, with brand, with UX, with stuff like that is more important right now, I think. I think right now, to be honest, and content and backlinks, sadly for me, because I love that, but they are decreasing in power. While on the other side, user signals and UX and retention and like all the signals, they tend to increase in presence, We can really see that on e-commerce SEO, where sites with no content, no backlinks, getting really good rankings because really high volume of branding, a lot of advertising done and everything. Advertising is becoming really important for SEO, which is kind of sad because we're just getting, relegated to the second rank of acquisition channel, but it's okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Leo.
Thank you,
this was
Aneta.
great.
Yeah, this is a good chat.
Yeah. And if you're interested to find out more, connect with Leo through LinkedIn and subscribe to Odys channel for more interesting episodes like that.